Halloween isn't just a date on the calendar. It is a cobweb of traditions woven over millennia, where history and folklore walk hand in hand among pumpkin lanterns and rustling leaves. Today, costumes, trick-or-treating, carving pumpkins are the common fare. However, these are only a few of the traditions observed on this day. Once it was thought that sowing hemp seed was a means of matrimonial prognostication, that by doing so one could conjure a vision of their future love, but if done incorrectly, could spell disaster. And that's the story that I have for you today.
The ceremony of sowing hemp seed on Halloween is known to most of our readers. A young girl of the name of Isabel Carr, servant to Mr. Matheson, type founder, would needs keep her Halloween on Monday week, and notwithstanding the earnest remonstrances of her master, who represented the impropriety and absurdity of prying into the secrets of futurity, she would not be dissuaded from sowing her hemp seed on that night. About 10 o'clock, she accordingly went into the foundry alone, with a light in her hand, which she placed on one of the tables while she performed her incantations. She walked through the shop several times, pronouncing aloud the words used on such occasions, and so anxious was she to see something, as she termed it, that having seen nothing, she gathered up the seed to sow it a second time. In the course of this second sowing, according to her own account, a tall, meager figure presented itself to her imagination. She shrieked aloud and ran immediately into the house, all the doors being open. After relating what she had seen, she went to bed, placing the Bible under her head. She rose on Tuesday and went through the labors of the day in apparent good health, but in the evening seemed somewhat timid. She, however, had her supper as usual and went to bed without any symptoms of fear. Next morning she was called, but did not answer. Again she was called, but still no answer. A daughter of Mr. Matheson's then rose, went to her, and found that she was very sick, and that she had been so during part of the night. Tea was ordered for her, but before it could be prepared, she was seized with a stupor. The pulse became sunk, the breathing difficult, and the hands swollen and blackish. A medical gentleman was instantly called. He said it was an attack of an apoplexy, which she could not survive more than 10 minutes, and in rather less than that time she expired, the blood bursting from her nose and mouth. The surgeon, on being informed of the transactions of Monday night, was clearly of opinions that the impression made on her imagination by the fancied apparition was the cause of this fatal catastrophe.
Sowing hemp seed as a means of divining one's future mate is hundreds of years old, at least, if not older, back to the medieval times. The earliest rules of the ritual are laid out in an 1885 reprint of a book called Mother Bunch's Closet from 1685. According to Ma Bunch, after sowing and reciting 9 times, the apparition of your future spouse will appear, or the sound of a bell is heard. Yet though you hear the sad and dismal bell, 'tis your fault if you lead apes in hell. Mother Bunch, with her closet full of wisdom, is always the life of the party, or was, without a doubt. Like a Lady Bilbo, holding court with all the young children, telling them all the stories and rituals that they need to hear. The ritual varies some. Instead of reciting the incantation 9 times, as Mother Bunch recommended, some sources said 3, but all references stated that it should be done at midnight, which is where Isabel got it wrong, reciting her incantation at 10. Now, far be it from me to question the diagnosis of any modern-day medical practitioner, but if I ever happen to find a hot tub time machine and find myself in the early 19th century, I could be a doctor. I mean, I can read, I can write, and hey, I think making stuff up Might be kind of fun. A little fucked up, being a doctor and all, with people coming to you with their maladies. But how much worse off? I mean, really, would they be with me?
Dr. Death.
You come to me, you say, Sasquatch, my arm hurts. I say, that sounds actually like a whole lot like phantom limb hiccups. We're gonna need to amputate. Chop! Feeling sad? You know what? That sounds like maladaptive unicornosis to me. You need some morphine. But they're not all easy ones. If someone else comes to me, they have vomiting, diarrhea, and leg cramps. You know what? It sounds like whimsical esophagitis or cholera. Either way, you're going to need to take a leech bath twice every hour. The surgeon in this case was of the opinion that the scare Miss Carr got from the alleged apparition was the cause of her death. Again, the symptoms being seized with a stupor, a weak pulse, difficulty breathing, hands swollen and blackish, and then described by the doctor as an attack of an apoplexy with blood bursting from her nose and mouth at or around the time of death. Hard to say what the actual cause was, but I would diagnose it as living in Scotland. At the end of the article, there was mention that some people had speculated it might have been just one of the men who Miss Carr, Miss Isabel, mistook for the apparition. But because the owner of the property, Mr. Matheson, had stated that his workers leave at 8 in the evening, and the incantation didn't take place until 2 hours later, that this couldn't possibly have been the case. It's impossible that one of these men might have come back for something. Maybe they forgot a pipe. And then there was an extra bit of speculation that Isabel, instead of running into the house after seeing the apparition, had simply fainted, but was left there to die, which at that time of year in Scotland, Halloween, overnight temperatures would have been 45, mid-40s Fahrenheit. So was this death by divination, or was this disease? The call is yours. Obviously it was disease, obviously, but that's Halloween for you. What are you gonna do? Happy Halloween. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace. Come back, hang out again sometime if you want. I would like you to.